That they got all of
You
the,
don't get too far.
yeah, the whole county is there.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pat Fabian, Armstrong County Commissioner. I chair the Regional Policy Advisory Committee here, so welcome. We're going to move along to agenda item 2. Sent out in your pre-packet was the minutes from our last meeting held on June 26, 23. For your review, looking for a motion to approve those minutes as written.
So moved.
Second, either Mark.
Any comments, questions, or revisions? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item 3, CJ, welcome.
Thank you.
So, we're gonna hand it over to you for an update on the quarter.
Thank you. I'll be quick. Hi, everybody. Hope I'm talking loud enough, but if I'm not, let me know. So just to give you an update on the discussion we had 4 months ago now, I guess, about the Allegheny River. For a quick recap, we're in danger of losing the hours of operation on some of the locks there, which could result in what they call a death spiral and eventually make it pretty impossible to traverse up and down the river. We've been having meetings, myself and Sarah Walfort, our freight manager, have been having meetings to discuss the impact of this with a various group of people, everything from county representatives, Fish and Boat Commission, recreational boaters, commercial operators, and others. The end result of this discussion essentially was that the Army Corps of Engineers, who is the operator and maintainer of our lock and dam system, but is a military entity, cannot themselves ask the federal government for assistance on these kind of things. And so they needed some people to take it over who could lead more of the action portion of the effort. And SPC and the Port of Pittsburgh Commission were elected or voluntold or whatever you want to use as a verb there. And we are now leading this effort along with the Port of Pittsburgh Commission. So we expect that what that means practically for SPC is not a whole lot other than some staff time for myself and Sarah, Kathy and Caitlin and some others on the team. But ultimately, this is going to result in us convening meetings where we're going to discuss this in greater detail and work with the federal elected officials to determine what the best possible course of action is. I don't want to get too far ahead of any discussions we have with the larger group, but we are holding our first meeting next week on the 6th with this group of about 50 different individuals who are, representing every possible group you can imagine that's a stakeholder in the river. So we hope to have a good constructive discussion there. If anybody on this committee would like to attend the meeting, please let me know. If you'd like an update on the meeting, I'll certainly provide those at this committee or to you directly. But we're excited to be a part of leading this effort, and it's vital that we do something here. So, I'm grateful to the committee and to our SPC leadership for the support that they've given in this space. Happy to answer any questions, but that's all I got.
DJ, is the meeting gonna be online also or no?
Right now, it's in person only. We have these meetings have traditionally been that way to kind of facilitate a more robust discussion, and the group felt that it was better to continue the in-person only. But happy to keep everybody updated, or if there's things you want me to bring back, I'm happy to do that too.
Is it in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's going to be at the SPC offices.
Okay.
It's September 6th at 2:00 at the SPC offices. We are asking everyone to RSVP just so we can get a head count and make sure we have enough space and chairs and everything. So if anyone's interested, please reach out to me and I can coordinate with you to get you on the list.
I do believe SPC sent out those invites already, or I know I got them.
Actually, DJs did this morning.
I said, yes, I sent it out this morning.
Any questions for DJ? I guess the advantage of being a chair is I get to change the agenda if I want to. So since you brought up the Army Corps of Engineers, I brought a newspaper article today, but, and Vincent and I talked about a month ago. I'm not sure what SPC's role would be in this situation, but since we do have that, or you're bridging that collaboration or that relationship with the Army Corps of Engineers, in Armstrong County, we have a facility that was used early 60s, 70s. It has shallow uranium in it. The Army Corps of Engineers is embarking on a $500 million cleanup. My concern is, from a public safety standpoint, when they're going to be remediating this material and transporting it out of Armstrong County through several of our southwest, counties. Does SPC have a role in that, or do they take a lead in that? But the concern is from a public safety standpoint, or even an emergency management standpoint, is something happens, whether it's being railed out, whether a truck overturns, what is the response for that? The Army Corps of Engineers has been pretty quiet on this. There is a public meeting, next month. But I just wanted to make, my colleagues in other counties in the Southwest aware of this. That this material is going to be moving through Southwest Pennsylvania. And God forbid we have another thing, East Palestine, that happened in Ohio. So I know in Armstrong County, we want to be prepared if something catastrophic does happen. I'm sure my neighbors would want to be prepared, if something catastrophic happened. So I just wanted to bring it to, SBC's attention, whether this is an appropriate time or, in a meeting or two down, this afternoon. But I just wanted to make everybody aware of it. I'll be attending that meeting, but I think my county and neighboring counties and public safety directors and emergency personnel, want some assurances or at least some kind of game plan. If X happens, how are we responding to that? But
Commissioner, thank you very much for raising it to our attention. And in fact, we had had a conversation, and I brought it up with, staff. And again, we're aware of the situation. I didn't realize that they were gonna have a meeting, or the Army Corps was gonna have a meeting, very soon, but I think we definitely need to be at least participating in the meeting, to be aware of what the circumstances are gonna be, especially since there aren't any real details yet coming out of it. Andy had some observations I think it's worth sharing as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends on if it's rail, it's truck, where it's going. Coming through more populated areas. Again, without detail, maybe public meeting.
Yeah, worth collecting information,
Yeah.
finding out particularly where the state falls on this. I think that Harrisburg comes in on this as well. Maybe DJ has some observations, but we can certainly find out. But, I think it's definitely something that needs to be raised to that level, because you're right, we don't want another disaster out there, so.
well, that meeting date, I'm looking at Saturday's paper, so I will, it's September 20th at 7 PM at Park Township's volunteer fire department. So, just throwing it out there, I'll be in attendance, I can pass along information, or if anybody wants to, from SPC wants to participate in that, that'd be welcome.
Just a question, is it just the Army Corps? Is FEMA involved? Are there any other federal agencies that are involved?
I know they already, the community, in that area, especially the volunteer fire departments, from, local municipalities, have already talked to, Senator Fetterman, Senator Casey's office. So
Okay.
they're in discussions about that. Their concern is more fiscal or financial, in the sense that, if something catastrophic does happen, we're not sure we have the gear, and the material to resolve the situation. So that was kind of their conversation, where's the funding at to assist us with getting at, but listen, we're only talking in that area, we're only talking about a 6-mile stretch. What happens, my concern goes beyond that. What happens when we get outside of Armstrong County?
It's a regional issue.
It's a regional issue, and that's why I thought it was worthy to bring it up today.
I know when we were having our discussions, DJ had mentioned reaching out to the Office of the Federal Casey as well. So I'm glad that you ordered it.
But anyway, I imagine that this conversation has been going on since 2015 about cleanup, where they're gonna get the financial resources to remediate. So now they're at the point now where they're doing some of that prep work here, the remainder of this year, and next year they're gonna look at removing it off-site. So I'm sure more details to come. And maybe they already have a plan and how they're gonna incorporate this as they move it out of the area, and through the state, so.
And who they will have as partners.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
All right, agenda item 4, Water Resource Center.
So hi, everyone. So thanks for having us here today. So since we are now finally fully staffed at the Water Resource Center and the Environmental Planning team, I thought this would be a great opportunity to introduce our new water resource staffer, Assistant Nathan Secrety. He came to us from CEC and has his undergrad degree from Washington and Jefferson. And he's going to give us a little bit of an update on the Water Resource Center, just to give everyone a refresher. And then I'm going to take over and just discuss what we're thinking of for the next year in terms of environmental planning and programming.
Well, thank you, Kathy. Yes, I'm Mason Secrety, and I'm the new water resource specialist here at the SPC. And today I just want to give everybody a quick overview and history of the Water Resource Center at the SPC. We're going to go through the history, what we're doing now, and the people. So in 1999, the SPC held a conference on sewage-related issues. I was 2 years old at the time, so this has been going on for quite some time now. So
Thanks a lot.
Said about the wrong person.
okay. So 2002, the Three Rivers Wet Weather released a report with collaboration with engineers and officials on stormwater management, and it was a meeting which came to the conclusion of how to set the foundation for municipal sewage collection in Allegheny County. There's been a number of people involved in this in the early 2000s, but ultimately around 2007, 8, and 9, there was final approval for the Water Resource Center. So there was a number of policy and committees that met and addressed this issue of stormwater management in the region. And finally, 2013, it was created. So we are still a functioning division of the SPC, Kathy and I. So we are the Water Resource Center now, and I'm new here. You know, I just started in August. Kathy has been here for quite some time, but has just moved into the water resource area. So I did spend 3 years as an environmental scientist in the field, conducting sampling of all kinds at steel mills, oil and gas sites, chemical manufacturing, everywhere. So I did get my HAZWOPER certification, hazardous waste operations, and it's a certification dealing with PCBs, which is just one area of the HAZWOPER cert, but it particularly how it affected me was I was dealing with PCBs on various sites. So it's a carcinogenic material, which comes from a byproduct from various industries, but I was specifically dealing with steel. So glad to be here, and I'm looking forward to bringing a scientific perspective to the planning world. So stormwater, the issue of stormwater management affects a variety of infrastructure, everything really. I mean, it rains here, we get significant rainfall here in southwestern PA. So we deal with flooding, to sewage management, to road maintenance, to the culverts on those roads and their capacities, and erosion and sedimentation. We have plenty of big hills here with important infrastructure on it, touching from commercial, residential, industrial, and recreational. So stormwater, it affects everything here in the area. It's very important to pay attention to this. So here you can see our area in southwestern PA. As of April, about half have approved Act 167 stormwater management plans, half don't, and you know, 2 there are getting approved within a more recent time, but we're glad to work with areas that don't have a plan, and we want to be a resource utilized by them. So there's been a number of forums, conferences, and meetings on water management. The commission holds meetings. There's been planning director meetings regarding stormwater management. And we want to facilitate a long-range plan with stormwater management. And kind of parallel to our transportation. We want to be a great resource when it comes to stormwater management and parallel with transportation. So there's plenty of stakeholders involved. There's the Department of Environmental Protection's involved, Conservation and Natural Resources involved, Penvest. And we want to be utilized as a resource to provide the most up-to-date regulation information and anything pertaining to stormwater management in the area. We want to be utilized and make sure that the counties that need it get the help that they need. So by doing that, we have a number of things in place here to provide technical assistance to our counties. So we have our Water Resources Center website, our newsletter. We have best management practices guides on stormwater, on MS4 compliance. We want to help counties with funding opportunities, and we want to disseminate regulatory info. So keeping counties and really, citizens, everyone involved with what the newest regulation information is in terms of stormwater management. So we want to be also an educational resource. We want to reach out to the area and bring everyone involved, so this affects everyone. So we collaborate with other nonprofits in the region. We try to identify possible new partners in the region. And we collaborate with ongoing educational efforts in our region to identify new stormwater management issues or historical issues that have been unresolved. We want to get those resolved and also possibly foresee issues coming in the future with new development in our area. There's plenty of new development, and stormwater is the cornerstone of a lot of that development. So we attend seminars, workshops, webinars, conferences. We're everywhere. We try to really have a long reach to get a bigger picture and understand everyone's different issues. So what we're doing in the future here, we want to refresh our newsletter. We want to refresh the website and keep going with our webinar series. We're working with the DEP environmental education grants. So we want to work with people who are interested in that and want to have access to that. We have a lot of exciting new mapping, culvert mapping coming up with, so we want to really keep our information as up to date as possible. And again, so we want to explore future water resource management opportunities in the region. So to stay abreast of what's happening and to be a couple steps ahead of what's going to happen.
So I'm going to go ahead and take it over from here. And just to kind of tack on a couple of numbers to put this into context, the Center for Climate Integrity just recently released a report. It's called Pennsylvania's Looming Climate Cost Crisis. So here's a couple eye-popping numbers for you about stormwater management. So by 2040, Pittsburgh is expected or projected to face $520 million in adaptation costs. This is $31 million in annual climate adaptation. That number is more than the budgets of 23 of the city's 27 departments, including operations and facilities. Nearly 2/3 of those expenses, $22 million a year, are for storm drainage alone, with another $5 million expected to be needed for controlling landslides. So of the top 5 municipalities identified in the state to have these high climate impact costs, 5 of the 10 are in the SPC region. So, little something to keep you focused on that stormwater management here. So in terms of what we've been doing, I thought it would be helpful to give everyone an update on what we've been trying to do in terms of environmental planning. I've been in my role now for about 6 months, and Mason's been here for 2 weeks, so it is a bit of a short time frame, but we're doing the best we can. We've been focusing heavily on renewing strategic partnerships, making connections with planning partners because, you know, the Water Resource Center had been inactive for about a year or so. I have been invited to join the Ohio Regional Advisory Board for the PA State Water Plan. My letter and application for that to the governor's office are due after the upcoming October committee meeting. So we feel that that's some good regional representation to be a part of. SBC, you know, most of you know that we recently got the EPA Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. So, you know, we're gonna be working on that. DJ and I are the project managers for that. SBC, a few of our staff here have been participating in PennDOT's Climate Reduction Program Working Group. And DJ and I are beginning to look into some potential DOE grants that we could go after, which is a new thing for us, primarily related to EV planning. And, you know, the meetings with all of our alphabet soup friends, so Army Corps of Engineers, Port of Pittsburgh, Penn, SDP, DCNR, DCD, you know, whoever else is on there, meeting with those folks and seeing what they need SBC to do. And I can confidently say that every meeting I've been at, not a single person has said, we don't want SBC's help. So keep that in mind. We've been making some partnerships with, like, on the education and outreach side, you know, folks like the Audubon Society of Western PA, one of our former staff works there, working with the PA Organization for Watersheds, Stroud Water Resource Center, folks like that. Mason and I just participated in a training through the State Conservation Commission for the Dirt, Gravel, and Low Volume Roads Program, which is a water quality improvement program disguised as a road maintenance program. We got certified in that, and, you know, we've also been attending the Southwest PA Decarbonization Forum and a variety of public EV events, just to have a presence there. In terms of the technical assistance that we've been providing, we participated in a few single point of contact or intergovernmental review letters, answering a lot of questions in different types of funding assistance. And I was an invited speaker at a Greene County water infrastructure workshop, and we're going to be holding that again in Indiana, Cambria, and Somerset counties coming up here in November, and that's in coordination with the Southwest PA Water Network. And as I just mentioned, Mason and I participated in this DG LVR training, so it's environmentally sensitive maintenance. We're certified in that. And as part of that, you know, talking with their program officers, we discovered that SPC can offer free technical assistance to our municipalities for that grant program. So we'll be doing traffic counts for anyone that needs it in the 10 counties for that grant program. We're providing in-kind match in terms of data services to Indiana County for the Act 167 Phase 2 plan. They are working on a planning assistance to states grant with Army Corps for their H&H modeling. We've had some initial discussions on hazard mitigation plans with PEMA and also with the state Geo Board folks. There's kind of some early discussions since those plans are going to be due within the next 5 years. What can we do at the state level now to maybe think about a base map for hazard mitigation planning by the next 5-year cycle? And sorry, I lost my train of thought. Electric vehicles, providing some technical assistance to a few of our northern boroughs. So Ben Avon Borough, Borough of Sewickley, and Quaker Valley COG. I gave presentations to the COG. And thanks to that outreach, we've been invited to speak at a future Allegheny Inter-COG Council meeting. So that's, you know, good, continuing to build those partnerships, particularly around EV planning. Next slide. Some of the other things that we've been working on, I have completed my MS4 and PDES Stormwater Permanent Inspector training with the add-on Low Impact Development Green Infrastructure Module. That's good for 5 years, and Mason will be completing the same certification in October. Like I said, we just completed the ESM certification for the VTLVR program. I've participated in the National Flood Insurance Program agent training. I am taking over for Andy's position on the PRCC board, so looking forward to that. I'm participating in an AASHTO data work group that's sort of census data related, but there's some good cross-pollination with environmental justice and Justice 40 data, so I'm happy to maintain that connection. Continuing to help a little bit on the side with SPC broadband planning and programming, because as I like to say, the most low emissions commute you can take is the one that you don't have to make at all. So that kind of ties into broadband. And I can't have a single conversation about water with anyone in this region without also talking about broadband, because it's a utility. We're going to be attending some upcoming conferences. There's a WIFIA. Don't ask me what the acronym stands for right now, but it's the Water Infrastructure Finance Act and a state revolving fund trading coming up in Philly that I'll be attending. The Pennsylvania Municipal Authority Association, I'll be attending that. And then Mason is going to 2 environmental education related conferences. One is the PA Organization for Watersheds and Rivers, and then Penn State is doing a Dive Deeper Summit on environmental education. So we're hoping that that combination of stuff will help us to provide better technical assistance and environmental education outreach as we, boot up the website, things like that. So this is kind of the big one for today. So in terms of establishing priority projects for environmental planning at SPC, I've been calling it Kathy's intergovernmental listening tour for the past 6 months, as I just have been wanting to hear, what do folks need from SPC? What do you all want us to do? And obviously, since we're talking water resources, water and sewer infrastructure are the key areas of focus. Some of the kind of low-hanging fruit that we think are ideal potential projects to go after in the coming months are to resume the existing regional sewer inventory that had been started and I believe left on hold in 2021 when our previous water resource specialist left the organization. And then as a part of that, do kind of a follow-up regional gap or needs assessment in terms of where are our regional water and sewer authorities at in terms of digital data, digital assets, mapping, staffing, technical abilities, things like that. We're in the early stages of some discussions with Three Rivers Wet Weather and Civic Mapper to see about building out their water and sewer data model to the region, and having this level of detail in a GIS system will allow us to do fairly advanced hydrologic modeling for the whole region, which again ties back to stormwater management and resiliency for climate action. Providing some data and mapping assistance to small water and sewer authorities. At the Greene County meeting, a water authority staff member came up to us and just asked for help, even just starting a GIS. So, we got them connected with her appropriate county staff, but those are the level of needs that we're seeing out there because not everyone is on equal footing, and that's somewhere where we have the technical expertise that we can provide that kind of assistance. For county planning staff, just continue to cross-collab as needed, especially on the big plans that are still due. Working with our COGS and municipalities on in-person and virtual trainings, particularly around EV for the most part right now. Stakeholders, one thing we've been kind of batting around is, I love what our active transportation planner, Leanne, has done with her bike counting program. So why can't we do something similar for water quality monitoring? So we're in the early stages of talking with some folks, particularly like the Pittwater Collaboratory, to see how we could pull something off in an effective way. We're looking at doing kind of a fun project. It's like a Google 360 street view before our rivers. So we can go out on a boat with a 360-degree camera and map the length of our rivers. It's a great product for environmental outreach and education, for asset mapping, things like that. And then lastly, just improving our environmental GIS data in-house and continuing to cross-collab with other departments here at SPC. So what I'm asking for from you all is, please let us know how can we continue to be a strategic partner for environmental planning. And in terms of having ongoing discussions about these issues in our region, let us know what you would prefer in terms of meeting frequency and a format. Do you want to have a special dedicated water forum, like a once a month, not once a month, but quarterly or biannual colloquium, something like that? Let us know what would be ideal in terms of moving this conversation forward. So that's all I have for today.
I have a question for you. We ran into a situation where the EPA approved an injection well in Fayette County. And thank goodness for the pressure that our commissioners and the municipalities put on these folks. They actually pulled their permit. Where do you sit? Are you looking into these things? Because and ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to affect the watershed.
Yeah. I want to say I don't feel not qualified, but I don't want to speak for SPC in terms of being in favor or against it. But one of the things that we want to start doing in-house is I read the EPA permit email every day of, like the NPD as permit changes, what's happening. So like I'm seeing in basically real time almost what permits are being approved or denied, things like that. I think that that's something that internally we need to get a better handle on. And if that is something where I would say maybe the commissioners feel that we need to speak as one voice for this situation, then we can have that discussion.
So then I turn to you, Commissioner Fabian. Because of the fact, and you just mentioned it earlier, this is toxic materials being brought in from other states. It's not even Pennsylvania waste. It is coming from the ones that were gonna be in Fayette County were coming from Oklahoma. So the question I have is the same as you had about your situation. What happens when one of those trucks is in an accident? Where is this water coming from? We talked to EQT and they said they don't even do this. And they're the biggest gas and oil company in Fayette County right now. And they don't believe in it. So my question is SPC going to look into and take a formal, and I don't want to say stance, but try to help these municipalities? Because what we're working on right now in Fayette is new zoning, because it's not zoned and no one knows what to zone it as or what to classify it as. So right now they're just coming in and they can dump it. They've already did a test and now we stopped it because the watershed authority, the watershed folks there and the local officials actually stepped up to the plate. So are we looking, or can we direct someone to look into this a little more and to come up with policy and a statement about it?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
I don't know who to ask,
You're-
so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
so-
asking the question, Dan,
so-
but let me take a stab at it. I think it's important that we reflect our region's needs.
Right, and that's,
We're here to provide technical assistance, all the right equipment, all the right tools for you to reflect your political will. If that means directing us to do these analyses and then having a policy region-wide and being able to take it to a senator's office or the governor's office or what have you, that's what we're here for. But we're not going to take the lead. We're going to take the direction from everyone around this table and everybody on the call, because that's what we're supposed to do as an organization. But we're here to do that. We're not going to be biased either way.
yeah,
When you get the information from us, or when you get the technical assistance from us, you know it'll be the right thing and it'll be unbiased and it'll be objective.
and I think we need to educate everyone in the SPC, all the different counties, because if they came to Fayette, they're coming to other counties too.
Absolutely.
So we need to be aware of what's going on ahead of time. We weren't. I gotta tell you, we got lucky.
Well, and
And
we may not be NATO, but what threatens Fayette threatens everybody else.
Right, exactly.
So we need to be able to
Right.
be able to articulate what those needs are and then transfer them to a regional policy.
To your point, you didn't know, you got lucky, right? And as you kick this up to the policy makers, so to speak, they're probably not even aware of it.
the ones in Fayette County are, I can tell you that,
Yeah,
because,
it hit home, right?
yeah. And,
But-
and the state folks are too, because they all got bombarded with questions and conversations, so.
I think to Vincent's point, it takes a organization like this or a regional effort, non-biased, to, create that advocacy or that policy that best represents us all, protects us all.
I agree.
Yeah, here are the risks and here are the things that we need to consider as we move forward with these initiatives.
And even if we can assist them with writing the policy, the locals, writing the zoning so they know,
Absolutely,
because we're scrambling trying to write zoning right now.
absolutely.
We found some other folks that did it, but you still want to tweak it to your best ability too. So
Right.
if we could come up with something and maybe pass that to the next level, at the next meeting, if we could get someone to talk on that subject.
But also like, and sharing that, right, because they're gonna move out of Fayette County.
Yeah, they're moving to the next neighbor, right?
That's right, or there is no. zone.
Right.
Get away.
It really goes against your economic development efforts. If you get something like that in the county, it's really gonna be bad. I know we fought it, we were lucky that they withdrew their application, but like you said, they're gonna go somewhere else, and it goes against economic development.
Mhm.
I don't think that if you're looking to grow your county, long-term growth and development, that's not, you don't want a bunch of those wells or any of them for that matter.
Exactly.
And if there,
To that point, I was gonna ask Kathy, are you aware of any studies that maybe connect the dots to economic development or lack of economic development? You know, attracting population, attracting businesses, parklands, things of that sort.
There was just a study that came out from Pitt about the health impacts, like that just came out in the past month. I can do a little bit of research and have something to present for the next meeting.
Kathy, I wasn't putting you on the spot by any means either. It just came up and I figured when you talked about your conversation, it was like, and again, the same thing. If that truck spills, who's paying for that cleanup? It's gonna end up becoming us.
Well, and who gets sick?
Right. Yeah.
She gets it all cleaned up.
Yeah.
And Commissioner, if I could just real quick, the discussion that we're having here is exactly the kind of thing that I think
Yeah.
that Kathy and Mason would like to continue, not just in this meeting, but in a separate thing, if there's an appetite for it. I mean, we have separate meetings for freight, and for active transportation, and for every type of transportation, vehicle transportation you could think of. And I think having two people who are committed and who are here for the long haul, having conversations like this, whether it's in a separate forum or here, it would be really ideal for them. So not just the issue that you're having, but anybody who's having an issue, please connect with Kathy, and, we can facilitate more robust, but more like down to the nitty gritty discussions about these issues, any frequency that you want.
Yeah, we're happy to.
Donna.
Just sort of following up on that, Kathy, you had mentioned landslides, when you were going through your presentation. A couple of weeks ago, and just for everybody at the table, we had a rather large landslide on the Gap Trail. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's in the section, if you're familiar with Kennywood, underneath where the old train runs, right? The rootin' tootin' hauler train, right? The cowboy train, whatever you call it. It's going to have a significant cost in terms of repairs, and it may require closing at least a 1 mile section of the Gap Trail below Kennywood. I don't have an update yet. I don't know if you're nodding your head, Kathy, so I guess you're aware of it. Do we have any update on that? Do you know, Kathy or Vincent, have you?
Don't have an update on that.
Okay,
But we can.
Yeah, we'll look at.
yeah, I've been in touch with Adam Mattis from DCNR, and we're working with the trail folks. I think they were still doing some analysis.
Okay.
They were sending some drones in. So I just kind of throw that out there as an FYI, since you mentioned landslides. And
I believe Andy's gonna touch on the Protect grant that we put an application in for, but there's definite tie-in with landslide modeling and trying to identify like risk areas and what we can do about them.
Yeah. And just on another note for everybody at the table, I think I mentioned this a few months ago at the executive board meeting. We had some water issues at a county out in eastern Pennsylvania. I was under the impression that all of our LDDs and MPOs had a water resource center. That is not the case. They stumbled on our friends here at SPC and were just amazed by the depth of knowledge and the information that our water resource center provides. So just sharing that with this committee as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Kathy or Mason?
Hey, Kathy, this is Dan from Beaver County.
Yeah, hi Dan.
I can help connect you with all things National Flood Insurance Program related.
Awesome.
FEMA, MCC contractors. So you can reach out to me another time, not to bore everybody here with the details, but I did want to let you know too that the Pennsylvania Association of Floodplain Managers Conference is coming up at State College. It's September 26th and 27th. It's going to be at the Graduate Hotel. And FEMA will be there, consultants, mapping coordinators, contractors, lots of stormwater stuff on the agenda too. It's all posted. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know that in our region, we have a very low adoption rate for the community rating system. So, that's something we can talk about down the road. And we've also kind of been kicking around the idea of becoming certified floodplain managers. So that may be like a next year kind of thing. But yeah, I'll follow up with you.
I can help you with that too. In the past, your predecessor, Aaron,
Yeah.
we went around and did, throughout the counties, did a bunch of courses with flood, well, the course is called Duties of a Floodplain Administrator. It's kind of a crash course, in floodplain management. And I think we hit just about every county, several years ago. So yeah, and I don't see any reason why we couldn't do that again.
Yeah, that would be great. I know like what we've been partnering with the Southwest PA Water Network, and that's one of the primary things that they asked us for help with is to, identify opportunities for education and outreach. And then just to kind of tie on to that about the classes, I know a lot of folks are maybe familiar with the MS4 trainings that Aaron had done previously. The DEP has definitely asked SPC to partner with them again on offering those classes once the MS4 state permit becomes open again. So that should be, I think, late 2024, early 2025.
Any other questions for Kathy or comments for Mason?
Welcome aboard, Mason.
All right, thank you both.
Yeah, thank you.
The next meeting will be October 23rd at 2 p.m. Will that be the SPS or SPC offices, or are we going into another county?
No, we're expecting to be at the SPC office.
All right.
Hopefully, the last of the AV equipment will be installed and we'll be there and ready.
So everybody can plan at 2 p.m. at SPC office, new office space, downtown.
We can take what we want here, Vince, if you need it.
Okay.
All right, other than that, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Stay tuned for executive committee here at 3 o'clock.
Pat, the Army Corps meeting for the Babcock facility, is that the Dime Road? Is that the Parks Township?
River Road.
River Road.
For regular forum.
Okay, because I got two addresses. One was Dalmatian Avenue and one was Dime Road, so it's, they're,
You can get there either way.
okay.
I would put in Parks Township, volunteer fire department.
That's what I did, and it came up.
Did you check my traffic?
Yes.
Yeah,
Which this could be
definitely.
an allegation.
Someone in our office.
A money line. It affects everyone, so I want to keep it.
Maybe not the newest.
Oh, great.
I'm sure it hasn't changed.
Yeah,
but-
don't be mad. Oh, no, not at all. And we'll keep sending out the meeting updates and, Mr. Go, so,
Great.
I completely understand not necessarily
the meeting, Mike? Okay, this is working.
My video is not working though.
Okay.
Oh, it says it's not responding. I have to probably have to go out.
Dear Lord, don't let me have to help us to password, please.
I'm gonna mute, but I don't.
There we go.
I'm gonna mute you.
You see the meeting number or URL on yours so I can put it in mine?
It says that I have to quit because my WebEx is not reporting.
Slow down. Then.
Well, I just, as the discussion goes on, I'm like, well, someone's gonna ask that question. It's like,
There just
why is
wasn't
someone
a,
else-
usually when school gets out, there's a decrease in your pace a little bit.
But for the point that you're trying to.
There's no slowdown. And here I am, taking her back to school today. I'm like, oh my goodness, how this happened?
Reminded me like that.
It's fine. I'm just gonna turn it back.
And it should be.
Wow.
Hey, Lens, is this the microphone or the? Oh, they're all, okay. I didn't know if I got them. Yes.
Commissioner Oshie, you may start anytime you'd like, if you can. If you can hear us, It may be that Commissioner Oshie is having a technical issue. That's the case. We may just launch now with Commissioner Fabian, starting the proceedings.
I would be happy to pinch it.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody knows I'm a big baseball fan, so
Thank you.
no problem. Or I can come out of the bullpen. Like hitters, like pitcher, that doesn't matter. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Corporation's Board of Directors and Commissioners Executive Committee meeting. Today is August 28th, 3 p.m. We're going to start the meeting here. And if Kim comes back on for whatever reason, we'll let her take over. Calling the meeting to order. Any conflicts of interest declarations on the action items, let it be known now. Moving agenda item 2, looking for action on the minutes of June 26th. They were sent out in your pre-packet. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move approval, Lynn Heckman.
Thanks, Lynn. Second?
Larry Maggi.
You guys can you repeat that again, please? Larry Maggi, I believe.
Yes, Larry Maggi.
All right. Thanks, Larry. All right. Any questions, comments? All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes
Aye.
carried. Public comment to come before the board. And
Just ignore me for a second, just take this backwards, I'm gonna try to go back.
they all? There she is.
There's Commissioner Oshie.
Commissioner Oshie, can you hear us?
I can you hear me?
Yes,
we can.
sound beautiful.
Thanks.
Agenda item 4, so I'll let you, pick up there on the, on fiscal loan.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. So in between the last 2 meetings that we had, the corporate board needed to take action on a loan related to the build out of the new location. And so I will let Margaret share that information with all the details with all of you, since I'm a little foggy here, but nonetheless, the board did take action on that loan, and I felt it was necessary to disclose in this meeting, even though many of us were part of that vote. We want to make sure that everyone understands what that was all about, and that will tie into the financials. So Margaret, gang, I'll let you all take it from here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. I actually have slides prepared to talk about it with the budget resolution. If it's okay with you, we could hold off until then.
Sure, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Pat, go ahead and move on to the next resolution welcoming Commissioner Chu.
Very good, Chairman. Thank you. Yes, we're bringing to the table Resolution 1323 to welcome Commissioner Douglas Chu to the Executive Committee due to the resignation of former Westmoreland County Commissioner Gina Cirilli Thrasher to accept the position on the Pennsylvania Workers' Compensation Appeals Board. This is whereas Westmoreland County Commissioner Douglas Chu has been named as the new member of the Executive Committee of the corporation effective August 28th, 23. We are proposing the resolution that it be resolved that Commissioner Douglas Chu be elected to serve as a member of the corporation from the date thereof.
You're muted, ma'am.
You're muted.
Pat, are you going to continue?
I was gonna hand it off to you, or I could do it. if you'd like.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear before we kept going, and again, I apologize. So we'll ask for a motion on that resolution 1323.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Doug,
All
did
in
you bring-
favor? Pardon me?
I brought chocolate.
Are you there, Doug? I could use the chocolate. Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, Doug. Fabulous to have you aboard.
Welcome. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so then we move on to the financial report, and Lisa and Margaret, take over.
Yes, just a quick update on the financial report. This is through June 30th, the end of the fiscal year. We were about 50% of budget with our revenue and expenses at a little over 10.7 million. That looks a little skewed, but a lot of that's because of the Build Back Better. We put the full budget in there, but we're at their mercy of when they bill us. So, and then just to give you a heads up, with that being our fiscal year end, our audit will start in September. So I will give you more of an update in October about how that's going.
Great, thank you. Any questions on that item so far? Okay, moving on. So Margaret, you're going to talk to us. We also found it necessary. I felt that we should look at the revised annual budget after the loan went into place for the new office space. So Margaret, would you like to take it from here?
Yes, thank you very much. So the first slide that I prepared is a look at the annual budget. And then we'll talk a little bit about the reason why we need to vote on a revised budget. So you can see that our expenses and our revenues and expenditures went up by the $750,000 that we borrowed from Bridgeway Capital to support the build out of the new space. I'm sorry for stuttering over myself. And then you'll also take a look down in the sources and uses of member local funds. That'll be where you see us paying back that loan over the course of the 10 years. So about 4 lines down on the uses, you'll see that our annual cost to repay the loan is $99,899. So each year, approximately $100,000 of the member dues that were what we had hoped would go to local activities and admin costs when we talked about this in July will now go partially to cover these costs. And then you'll also notice that there's an additional cost on there that is for the furniture that we purchased to put in the new space. And the company that we bought the furniture from was willing to lease us the furniture for 24 months with a $1 buyout at the end of the 24 months to spread the cost of that furniture over a 2-year period instead of having such a large expense upfront. So that will also take up the remainder of those local activity funds for the next 24 months. And then we'll be back to where we'd hoped to be with the split, with using the split that we allocated for local activities and administrative costs for what they were originally thought we were going to be able to use them for.
Right. So I think that it sounds like if anybody else is out there doing projects right now, you have a projected cost and then the reality of what happens after, the reality of what happened after that really has changed dramatically. I've seen our costs increase on many of our projects by 30 to 50% based on, supply chain issues and post COVID challenges. So I don't know what everyone else is experiencing, but I know that's what we experienced. And I'm sure that this had the same effect on this project.
Yes, ma'am, it absolutely did. And the fact that we were 6 months behind on moving in because of delays caused by supply chain issues didn't help matters any. This next slide I put together for you to see how we financed the build out of construction costs over the period of, well, the last 6 months and then going forward. The total expense for the build out was about just under 2.5 million. And the tenant improvement allowance, which was built into the lease and paid for by McCaffrey up front, which is our landlord, was about 1.4. So the rest of the funding had to come from local sources. And that was where we decided that to protect the match funds that SPC needs to continue the work that's done in the region through grants, we needed to secure funding in a different way that we could manage, spread it out over the future as opposed to absorb it all up front. So that's how we got to the $750,000 loan. So those are some details. And one of the things I wanted to really talk about is, the real need for this build out and the need for the move is really what stands out as the most important thing in this conversation. As Vince, drove us to this move because of what the relocation and the new location would do for us. Increased visibility, refreshing the way we look, to people who visit us, to attract and keep new and fresh talent. And then again, to improve the proximity of the organization to partners in the tech and foundation communities. And then I just gave you a few additional little notes about the expenditures and the timing of things and that sort of thing. So, but to that end, I would like to ask that you vote to pass a resolution to pass the new revised budget with revenues of $24,373,761. I really cannot speak. I'm so sorry. In revenues and in expenditures for the fiscal year that began July 1st, 23.
I just wanted to express my public thanks to Margaret for the creative way in which we've approached this. There was no way that we could really predict the impact of COVID and supply chain issues and all of the complications of moving to a brand new space, particularly, the difficulty of moving a large organization such as SPC. And she and the finance staff have done just a magnificent job in preserving our ability to support local projects with match, but also responsibly pay for the move that we sorely needed to make. It was very clear just from, kind of our organizational assessment and the morale of the organization, and frankly, some of the perceptions of our clientele, all of you, about where we were before and the need for some sort of substantive change that we needed to make this move. And I'm glad for the support all of you have provided. This was just part of the necessary medicine that we needed to take in order to really get to where we need to be.
And I want to also compliment you because I think, in years past, I don't know that we would have delved into this kind of detail on the loans and the budget and that people would have paid enough attention to have this level of transparency. So I certainly appreciate, you honoring that request and the fact that, we're here to say these are some of the bumps that we're dealing with, and, the board chose to move forward, and, we'll, within about a 2-year period, we should be back to having the funds aligned to where we want them to be, if I understood what you just said there correctly, Margaret.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We, if I may make one more statement, we owed it to you. We're your organization.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I've respected about working with this team. So very, very grateful.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Just for understanding purposes, Margaret, is Bridgeway Capital our banker, or do we?
No,
do we
ma'am.
have to go shop around?
We shopped around. Yeah, we bank with Citizens.
Okay.
But Bridgeway they specialize in loans to nonprofits, and so they were really great to work with and understood our structure and, you know, so it was nice they're not good partners.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and Bridgeway does a lot of work with I think our tourism groups and some of the others. So I've seen that on a regular basis, so grateful. Okay, we need do we need a motion for resolution to revise the budget?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion, Pat.
I'll second, Doug Chu.
Okay, is there any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, transportation report, Dom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to talk a little bit about our tip schedule, upcoming tip update schedule, and also our competitive programs. But I first want to briefly tell you about the survey work that was done as part of PennDOT's 12-year transportation plan back in March and April earlier this year. The public was invited to provide input in various ways through an online public forum, social media, and a survey. All public feedback received was reviewed and compiled to convey current transportation priorities and trends statewide and regionally. And our friends at PennDOT gave us back our feedback. Of the 4,250 statewide comments on transportation, 901 of those comments were made on transportation concerns within the SPC region. The breakdown of the issues within the comments is shown here. Many, I'll just, very high level here. Many of the comments were made on roads and bridges, as you can see at the bottom of that slide. The reason I mention this is that one of the first things we do when we do a tip update, which we have started now, is we go back and review all of the prior comments made to, PennDOT's plans, our long-range plan, and we review these with the TIP work group, which consists of your county planners and the PennDOT folks, and to really determine if we need to address them by carrying them forward into TIP development. Next slide. So just a little bit about our TIP schedule. We have kicked it off. We started right after the long-range plan was adopted in June. We have 15 work group meetings scheduled, 5 per PennDOT district that started in July and will continue to the end of the year. During this time, we will also be selecting our projects for our competitive programs, transportation alternatives, CMAQ, congestion mitigation, air quality, and carbon reduction projects. I will talk about those in the next slide. We'll receive financial projections and guidance from PennDOT Central Office on the TIP, and we will schedule and conduct our first round of public participation panel meetings and public meetings to gain feedback on TIP projects this fall and into winter. In December or early January, we will be submitting the pre-draft TIP to PennDOT Central Office for review. In the spring, we'll be conducting our federally required air quality and environmental justice analysis and start preparing the draft documents. Also in the spring, we'll open solicitation, evaluate, and select projects for our smart transportation program. And we will, in the spring, open a 30-day public comment period on the draft documents, hold a second round of 11 public meetings for public feedback on the draft TIP, all in the hopes of bringing an updated 2025-2028 TIP to the full commission in June of 2024. Next slide. So as I mentioned at our last meeting, as part of the TIP update, we had opened and consolidated our solicitation and selection process for the transportation alternatives, CMAQ, and carbon reduction programs. We did this so that applications can compete across all 3 programs and so that we can improve our performance measures by getting projects funded by the most appropriate funding yielding the highest benefits. We closed the pre-application period on July 17th and received 41 pre-applications across all 10 counties. We received at least 1 application from each county. And the breakdown here, we had 12 out of the 41 pre-applications. We had 12 traffic flow improvement applications, 7 trail improvement applications, 11 ped bike improvements applications, 4 transit improvement applications, and 4 safety improvement, and 3 other applications such as diesel retrofits and park and rides and so forth. So that's all I have. Any questions on any of that? Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. I apologize. I'll explain all this before the meeting's over. Oh my goodness. Okay. DJ, Ryan, you are now up next with our strategic initiatives, and we appreciated seeing you at the transit meeting. And thanks, Dominic. I thanked you, but you didn't hear me.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, thank you. Hi, everybody. Pleased to offer you just a kind of a quick overview on the work of the Strategic Initiatives Department in the past couple months. First of all, you're going to hear more about these, so I'll go quickly over them. But 3 major grants that we've been working on: the MPDG, which we'll talk about in commission, for the Parkway East and East Busway, among other things. We're really keeping our fingers crossed for that, and have had a lot of great support already in that process. The Protect grant that PennDOT is applying for, that we're partnering with them on, for the 376 bathtub to keep traffic flowing there. And then separately, and I know this is confusing, the Protect Planning grant, which is a flood mitigation, and we're developing tools essentially for you to develop. We're going to develop a resiliency improvement plan for each of the 10 counties, but also tools that you can use, and we think will be particularly interesting for your emergency management directors to use to determine the impacts of various weather events on your infrastructure. We're very excited for the opportunity to apply for that, and hopefully good news on that soon. Those of you at the policy committee heard Kathy and Mason talk about climate pollution reduction grant. The RFP, I noticed my typo, for consultants is going to be out this week. Our steering committee meetings are going to start this fall, and our first deliverable is a priority climate action plan, which is due in March. So we have a lot of work to do between now and then. But good news there is that we've welcomed Mason Secrety, a new water resource coordinator. So the Water Resource Center is fully up and running again. We're very excited to get moving with that. And again, for those of you who weren't at policy committee, I'll just summarize by saying that we have a very stellar staff, a very well-educated and experienced staff now in the environmental planning office. And if you have any water issues whatsoever, we hope that you're going to reach out. I'm happy to connect you with them or reach out directly to them.
And thank you for saying they're not jumping into the deep end.
I had a couple water puns in my, but it's Monday after all. Next slide, please. On the active transportation side, we help coordinate with PennDOT and their consultants for a meeting last week on the vulnerable road user assessment. This is particularly important for those people who bike or who are pedestrians. PennDOT does this regularly to make sure that those people's safety is considered in every decision they're making. And our municipal technical assistance program for active transportation continues. Please, if you're working on any active transportation related projects, please reach out to Leanne. She'd be more than happy to sit down with you and help really get into the nitty gritty of your plans. And just briefly, I've been talking about this a lot, so you're probably tired of hearing it, but the Allegheny River, the SPC, along with the Port of Pittsburgh Commission, have been selected to co-lead the effort to save the Allegheny River. And we are going to begin those meetings next week. Our first meeting with this larger group that we've been talking to is going to happen next week. We're taking the control of this from the Army Corps in order to make it a more action-oriented group, and we're doing this with their support. There's a lot of different options being considered. I won't get into it now, but we've been engaging with the federal elected officials, and we're taking their input first and foremost, because they're the ones who are going to have to help us do this. But a lot of you probably got an invitation from me for that meeting. If there's anybody who wants to be present for those discussions, please reach out to me. I'm happy to have you there. And if not, I'll be offering updates on that, both the policy committee and here as well. And I think that's it for me. If anybody has any questions, though, I'm happy to take them.
Questions for DJ? Thank you. Glad to hear about the leadership on the Allegheny River. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next. Broadband connectivity report, Andy. Lots happening here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just two quick highlights for this month. One, I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention that the Broadband Authority did submit their 5-year action plan to NTIA on August 14th. What that plan does is, as you can see, it outlines the efforts that the state is going to undertake to ensure everybody is connected and has affordable, equitable broadband service. And that is how they're going to spend $1.16 billion in BEAD funds, broadband equity access and deployment funds that are going to be coming in to the Commonwealth from NTIA. So just the timeline on that, the action plan was submitted on the 14th. They then have 180 days to submit their what's called an initial proposal. And what that is it's going to explain in detail, in more detail than the 5-year action plan. The action plan is more goals and high-level strategies. But the initial proposal will go into detail about how the Commonwealth plans to serve the to make sure every resident and business has access to high-speed connectivity. And then that final proposal, they'll get feedback from NTIA, and then the final proposal to NTIA is due about 180 days after that. And then once that is approved, that's when the BEAD start flowing. Next slide, please. So one of the other things that we've been working on in-house is I've had some conversations with a couple of the county planning directors regarding a digital navigator program. So there's just some kind of a short FAQ on the screen there of what a digital navigator is. Basically, it's a person or a group of people that are contracted to provide services to the public. Teach them how to set up their computers, how to use their computers, what to look for and so they don't get scammed, how to sign up for government benefits or educational opportunities. So right now in the region, Beaver County and Washington County have their programs. So the conversation with the planning directors was centered around, does every county really need their own different program? Or could SPC put together a regional model of a program with a menu of options that could be adopted by, each county could kind of pick and choose what they need or what's pertinent to their own county, and we could provide it's basically a framework so that, the digital navigators across the region, the programs, if the counties are so interested, are consistent, the education is consistent. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just a couple of the potential elements that we're looking at. I'm looking at putting together a work order for our on-call consulting team to help us with this. I'm hoping we can wrap this up in about 6 to 8 months. And again, and this is a menu of options for counties that they could put together their own tailored program that fits an individual county, or perhaps if a number of counties want to work together, they can do so. Just some of the things that we're looking at is, you know, a high level goals and objectives, mapping that we already have completed, but is, you know, funny enough, a couple years old now. It doesn't seem like that long ago that we developed it, but, you know, we'll be looking to update that data as well. Partnership development and asset mapping. So what are the organizations and what are the community resources that are already established in these communities? Libraries, senior centers, nonprofits. Are they doing these things? Are they talking to one another? That's another thing that's really important in this is kind of going through your inventory of these community groups and these organizations and finding out what each other is doing. Because a lot of the things that, you know, in discussions with organizations like the Greater Pittsburgh Digital Inclusion Alliance, which convenes the group within Allegheny County, is, you know, one of the things when they started, a lot of these organizations are doing these types of things, but they don't talk to one another. So nobody knows what each other is doing, and it's often a duplication of efforts. So, you know, what we're proposing is we can go in and inventory these assets and begin to build partnerships and to begin to cultivate partnerships and get people talking with one another. Another is curriculum resources. You know, there's a lot of existing curriculum out there online. One of the things that we're looking at is to be able to pull those existing resources so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and inventory best practices from around the country so that this educational resource for the counties and the communities and the people of the region, they're all getting consistent curriculum, and it's, you know, we can tailor this to feedback that we get, again, getting back to the partnership development and the asset mapping. So looking at each county and figuring out what the real needs are in each county, because they may be a little bit different when you stretch across the region. And then finally, marketing and research. Marketing and outreach. You know, looking at a marketing plan, giving it a recognizable brand across the region that can help these navigators get higher visibility and be ready. You know, it's always better when you have a known brand and people you know, can recognize that from across the region, and oftentimes it's more successful rather than just doing it piecemeal across each of the counties. So again, you know, I'm writing a work order for our on-call consultants to begin this work. And we will certainly be in touch with all of the county, with you all and your staffs, and you know, to begin this process. So be happy to, I believe that's it for me. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a couple questions. Sure. If you don't mind. Looking at the digital navigator, is this something that we can fund, some of these nonprofits that already do these social services programs? If so, what's our numbers?
That's one of the things that we're gonna look
yeah,
at.
I mean, we truly lean on 211 a lot for this type of service. They already have navigators, so to speak, but digital would be new for sure. And it would take a specially trained person to be able to do this type of work. So if that's where we're headed, and I think that would be our logical response, at least from my point of view, then we'd want to gear that up as soon as possible, and we gotta have some kind of a formulary of how we're gonna fund it.
Yeah, exactly. You're 100% right. And that's kind of the reason why I was pushing this in the next kind of 6 to 8 month period. So we can lay the groundwork, the counties can plan, you know, partnerships. And then once the other funding from NTI, there's another funding called the Digital Equity Act. And it has, I think, $60 million in it. And then there's some state funding as well through the Broadband Authority. You know, they have their capital fund program is out now, but later down the road, a piece of that 270 million was going to be reserved for community anchor institutions. So, you know, and getting this program up and running and giving you all the resources within the next 6, 8 months or so, we all should be poised and ready to be able to capitalize on. to get into the funding opportunities that are gonna be coming down the road.
Do you foresee them having access to their software systems to be able to apply online for the folks that are calling that may not have? Like, I always think, I don't have digital, so, I could really use some help. And so helping them apply for those grants or whatever.
Yeah.
Supplemental money.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we can certainly provide that assistance as well. But yeah, yes, short answer, yes.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Andy. Okay. Moving on to Jen and Workforce and Economic Development Report. Jen?
All right, next slide. Okay, so kind of the overview for the last 2 months, serving small businesses, nonprofits, local government. We're always focused on resiliency and growth. Continuing to work with expanded pathways to new economy careers. That's Project 3 under Build Back Better Regional Challenge. We had our ARC area development and local access road. All of our regional projects were submitted to DCED just a couple weeks ago. We have coming up a rapid response team, interagency working stakeholder listening sessions planning process going on. I'm going to talk about that at the next meeting more in depth, but the short version is that you have some of the federal agencies that want to come and talk to different counties about what their challenges are, what's going well in terms of whole communities that have been impacted by plant closures, job loss, things like that. And then continued broadband discussions, especially with our small business survey. We found a PTAC manager. I'm so excited for this. This position has been open for months with an F. So I'm happy for that, as we've been down about 40% of our staff on my team for about 6 months. So the data representative I'm going to talk about is for the past 2 months. Next slide. So under export, under our PREP program, and just again, thank you to your county economic development teams that were able to get our budgets into us so quickly. With the budget impasse, we had a hold on PREP budgets, and then once it was released, everybody so kindly got together, got me their budgets, all of their information very, very quickly. So I'm going to say within about 5 to 7 business days, all of your EDOs pulled together and got me a tremendous amount of data. So again, if you speak to them, please say thank you again on my behalf. But under export, again, where 31 companies were assisted with 53 counseling sessions. That's 8 companies and 10 overseas work orders to 7 countries. The Fancy Food Show in New York City, which I'm going to spotlight at the tail end of this presentation, happened with 4 PREP-sponsored companies. We also worked with IUP for a global presentation and a Go Global Growth Conference in St. Vincent. Next. Under commercial lending, we had 31 companies assisted with 54 counseling sessions. 1 loan was closed, and the team successfully completed the year-end closeout of reporting, which from a finance standpoint for all these loans is a feat to itself. So again, thank you to them. And then under government procurement, 8 companies were assisted with 9 counseling sessions. That's 15 companies, 48 awards for about $5.4 million. Hosted the SPC Apex Accelerator Co-Stars event. And again, Aaron Sims is our new hire, hoping he continues to start on September 18th, and looking forward to working with him. Next. So under community economic technical assistance, under Keystone Opportunity Zone, we've had 2 inquiries, 2 businesses were served, 28 applications throughout the year. It's an $897,000 investment with 2 businesses approved, and we have 1 local technical assistance program class being scheduled in the fall for winter road maintenance. Next. So grant technical assistance under ARC EDA provided technical assistance to 24 projects. So over the last 30 days, we've talked to quite a few individual projects, but what was submitted to DCED in the last 30 days was almost 24 million in asks, which is huge. Compared to the rest of the region, we probably are 5 to 6 times what our other LGDs do. It's just we have a much larger region, more people, but that's a lot of projects for water, sewage, local access roads, some workforce grants, equipment purchases. There's a lot of different things in there, and area development is still accepting applications. It's a rolling deadline. Local access road is closed. And I put that with an asterisk, meaning that right now it's closed. Should some of these applications fall through, let's talk. You never know, there might be some money. And then under EDA technical assistance, 4 projects were assisted. Economic adjustment assistance is still open, public works is still open, Recompete is open, and Tech Hubs just recently closed. Next. So what I wanted to spotlight is the Fancy Food Show in New York City. So Rena and Jackie on our team handle the export program. They are phenomenal. I'm so grateful to work with them. They do an amazing job working with companies that want to export their products overseas. So these 2 ladies and these 3 businesses below went to the 67th Fancy Food Show in New York City, held on June 25th through the 27th. So we had 3 companies, Gosia's Pierogies in Westmoreland, Cilantro Yahoo in Allegheny, Three Rivers Salsa in Washington. And so it was sold out. Over 2,200 food and beverage makers attended, and 30,000 people registered. So this is a huge event. It's up 20% from last year. So bottom line, connections made, products sold. Goal here is to keep businesses growing and thriving. Next, and I just wanted to show some amazing pictures from the event because it always helps. Giada, they ran into Giada at this event. So that's Gosia's Pierogies. The woman who owns that business is hearing impaired, and they do an amazing job. If you've never had their pierogies, they're delicious. You can also see Cilantro Yahoo's in the middle, and then Three Rivers Salsa on the tail end. It was a great opportunity for those folks to talk to hundreds, if not thousands, of potential buyers. And again, the more we can assist our small businesses, the better it is for our region. Just wanted to show that, borrowed that from their social media. Hopefully they're not too mad about that. But guys, thank you so much. Any questions for me on this? Okay, thank you.
All right, Jen, you're not busy, are you at all? Doesn't sound like it.
Good thing. That means we're helping businesses, helping people, and helping the region. I'm in.
Okay, Vincent, I guess you're up next, and then I will, I have a couple comments before we close. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to bring up one administrative item for our nominating committee. As you all know, if things go as normal, we're going to have a new SPC commission chair for next year. It's going to leave a vacancy at the secretary treasurer position as our current officers move up in the cycle. We're going to ask Lynn Heckman as the chair and the nominating committee to come ready in October with some names for nominations for the next secretary treasurer. We're happy to help organize any of those meetings if you want to use the facilities of SPC. But it's important that we have those names in place to keep continuity going and keep the mission moving forward. I also want to mention that at the end of the year, we're going to actually cycle out all 9 members as well. So we'll be looking for 9 new names for the nominating committee as well. I just want to thank Lynn Heckman and the 9 who've been on the committee for participating. And again, it'll be important to keep the ball moving for the benefit of keeping our business going. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Vince. I will be happy to help.
Thank you, Lynn. The other piece of news is just that October 23rd is our next meeting, and looking forward to seeing everyone there.
Thank you. And just wanted to give a couple updates. Before we move into executive session. First is that the search committee is moving forward. Just by brief update, many of you are already participating in that process, but Reed Smith is leading the way, and I believe I saw Dusty on here someplace. There she is. And we were able, I believe, to contract with K&A Partners, who assisted us with the last search, right? Is that the right? Yeah.
That's right. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm on vacation, so, and also there's a plane going on overhead. But at any rate, K&A is ready to get started. They posted it on their website, or they will today. They're going to post it obviously on SPC's website, and they're going to contact the Business Times. And they wanted to know from any of the other commissioners if there are places that it should be posted in your community. And so I was going to be reaching out to find that out, but since we're here and talking about it, if there is, people could let me know exactly where they want it posted and they will do that in each local county.
And maybe Dusty, they could respond to Margaret so she can forward that on to you, since her email seems to be in most of our email chains.
And they also, I just wanted to give you a little idea of what they think the process should be. They would like to talk directly to Vince about his role and how it might have changed since he came on in the middle of COVID, and how it might have changed and what what his opinion is.
Okay, great.
That it should be going forward. Then they would also like to meet with the search committee to get the committee's opinion of what kind of person the search committee is looking for, and and get everybody's viewpoint on that to take into consideration as they begin the search.
Okay.
I think those are the major things. When we may need to talk in executive session, they're wondering if we have an opinion on salary range.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sure we can do that as part of a next scheduled search meeting, perhaps even. I'm not certain that it since it is actually the corporate board, rather than take up the time now, we may want to go ahead and schedule that meeting at that time. That said, I do think that so the cost of this, and for anybody who is not aware, will be borne and covered by 2 grant applications that we submitted and the commitments from both RK Mellon and Hillman. So we were able to speak to both of them, and they are willing to assist us in the cost of the search process once again, so that it doesn't place an undue financial burden on SPC. And we know how important this position is to the region. So it was important to have a good search firm assisting us in this process in particular. So grateful to Dusty, and grateful that K&A was willing to come back, because a great deal of the work that they had done was already done. So this little bit of update is much easier than having to start from scratch. So we look forward. I want to thank everybody for their help so far and keeping this moving, and hopefully we'll have a speedy process here. Also just wanted to mention that my schedule will be a little disrupted here for some time. But I am committed to this search process. I am coming to you right now from Allegheny General Hospital in this room, and I have to say that Allegheny General Hospital's president has been amazing in providing a space for me to work from. My son on Wednesday evening, this past Wednesday late evening, he is a PA state trooper. He was off duty, but came upon an accident on the Parkway East in Robinson, stopped to render aid. It was a unfortunately drunk driver who hit a tow truck, believe it or not. So the car was blocking the traffic in a lane. He got out, had a vest on, was trying to put flares up, and was struck by an oncoming vehicle. But by the grace of God and the act of the tow truck driver who drug him off the parkway, he's alive, but both legs are severely broken, and he's one surgery, another surgery tomorrow, possibly a third one yet to go. So we're a little, so they were kind enough to provide me this lovely little space that I am in to come with here to join you today. But I will continue through the search process, certainly, but there will be lots of things I may not be present for, but we'll see how things go in the next week. And just wanted to let you know that's why I'm not there today, and sorry I could not join you in person. And with that, I guess we can move to executive session. We will need a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We will give a moment for everyone to adjust. And so executive, do we need, this is members of the corporate board or executive committee of the commission?
Yes, ma'am, that's all.
For you folks that are online, if you're not a part, can you please jump off for us? Thanks.
And since I'm not in the room, you all can proceed when you think you're ready.
I'll be the bearer of bad news.
Sometimes they tell us to say, sometimes they say, get the hell out. I just need to know what we're doing.
It's just an executive session. Yeah, yeah.
Better be.
It's hard to remember who's on what, you know, what.
Thank you.
Leslie, it says Butler County Commissioners, we had to do.
Did you throw them out? Oh, Pat.
Nice, nice.
I'm not sure how this actually works normally, but I'll just start. So I have two loans to provide you with. The first is a $335,851 loan out of our EDA CARES Act RLF for Ace Wire and Spring Company. They are a manufacturer. Proceeds will be used to purchase a high-tech lathe and feed grinder. They are located in McKees Rocks in Allegheny County. The loan will be for 84 months. They have partnered with Catalyst Connection, matching the loan amount, and the customer puts down 10% to the installation and high shipping costs from Austria. The project will create 6 new full-time jobs over the next 3 years. And the second loan I'm presenting to you for your approval is a $100,000 loan for Legacy EDA RLF for Creekside Springs LLC, which is a manufacturing of bottling and water supplier with private label options. So their proceeds will be used to purchase machinery and equipment for the continued expansion of their bottled water line for grocery stores and retailers. So the loan will be for 84 months at 1% with a 20% equity from the client. We're able to lend at a higher percentage on smaller projects. This is defederalized dollars for us. And so this project will retain at least 3 jobs. They have 97 total full-time employees. This will help navigate through the change in their business because during the pandemic, they said they had a large drop in sales and contracts for their private bottling line. So asking for approval of these 2 loans. The loan committee has already reviewed and approved. And
Okay, so we, if I understand, we need to move back out then of executive session in order to vote.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Is there anything else before we go out of executive session? Okay, well, we need a motion then to go out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? Motion carries. And then we will call for the motion on resolutions 1523 and 1623, please.
So moved.
Second.
Anything further? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you.
Should I see this, is it okay if we just apply your signal to technology?
Yeah, sure.
Electronic.
Technological.
I guess I already talked about the other SPC business. I went a little out of order since I wasn't sure who would leave and come back, huh?
No worries.
Oh, good.
So are we okay to, if there is nothing else, we could adjourn this meeting and get resituated for the next meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We'll give it a few minutes to reposition.
I know, it's over there.
Excited. I'll spend Monday with you, Rich.
Exactly.
No, I'm at.
How you doing?
Not very, neighbors on the Maple Street. Well, it's not that far from the valley. No. Everybody run up to, Warmobile, see my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, during that storm, they got trees down and lost electricity. They still don't.
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
No.
Gee.
Alrighty,
Not only this Monday, but next Monday.
2 in a row. Thanks.
So are you back on and ready to go?
Hi.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna follow you. It's not, I thought you'd like.
Okay. Do you want to, can you pull the agenda up for me because I'm fighting with a split screen over here. Thank you.
We did 2 days in DC with our local cruisers, like I took me an hour and 10. He said, oh. I did. I thought the closest lady. What's that? I said, I'm the closest. Yeah. Just figured.
So if we're ready to get underway, I want to say good afternoon to everyone and call the meeting to order. I apologize I cannot join you, but I am in this happy little tiny office at Allegheny General. Do we have a quorum?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and are there any conflict of interest declarations on action items? Okay, hearing none, moving on, we'll take action on minutes from the June 26, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Anything further? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Is there any public comment? Okay, hearing no comment, we can move on to the next item. Okay, this is great. This is item number 923, resolution welcoming Commissioner Ted Kopis to the commission. Or Vince, would you like to share that resolution?
We have actually resolutions to move forward, but we'll take them one at a time. The first being for Ted Kopis, whereas a vacancy exists in the commission due to the resignation of former Westmoreland County Commissioner Gina Cirilli Thrasher to accept the position on the Pennsylvania Workers' Compensation Board. Whereas Westmoreland County Commissioner Ted Kopis has been named as a new member of the commission effective August 28th, 2023. Be it resolved that Commissioner Ted Kopis is elected to serve as a member of the commission from the date thereof.
Okay. Was there a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Welcome back, Ted, who is not unfamiliar to us.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And is resolution 1023.
Are we taking them separately?
Yes, let's take.
Okay, I'm sorry, I need to call for the vote. I apologize. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Sorry, go ahead.
Whereas Mayor Ed Gainey has named a new member of the commission effective August 28th, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved that Adil Jinwala is elected to serve as a member of the commission from the date thereof.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Anything further?
Right on.
All right, all in favor, say aye of welcoming Adil.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Welcome.
Thanks so much.
Motion carries. Welcome and thank you.
It's not even dry. Your ink's not even dry.
The minute's quick.
Okay. Now we go to resolution number 1123 on the multimodal discretionary grant. Dom,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
thank you.
Next slide, please. So this has to do with the a USDOT discretionary grant opportunity. What I'm going to describe to you is the same project that we submitted last year and that was presented to you last year. Last year, there were over 200 applications submitted across the country for this discretionary grant opportunity. We were told in our debrief that we made the final 16 that made it to the Secretary of Transportation's desk. Unfortunately, 7 of those 16 got funded and 9 did not, and we were one of the 9 that did not. So we got a debrief from the USDOT staff. We were strongly encouraged to resubmit this application. Next slide, please. So I'm just gonna, for those of you unfamiliar with last year's presentation, I'm just gonna go through it here again. Multimodal project discretionary grant, eligible projects, highways and bridges, public transportation, intercity passenger rail, and so forth. Really a wide expanse of projects. With this grant application, they combine 3 major discretionary programs into one called MEGA, the National Infrastructure Project Assistance Program, Infrastructure for Rebuilding America program, and a new program, a Rural Surface Transportation Grant Program. SPC with this project last year and this year is applying for MEGA and Infra. We believe that the project that we applied for reflects the key program objectives described right there: safety, state of good repair, economic impact, freights, jobs, positive impact on environment, equity and multimodal options, and I'll get into all these. Innovation areas, project readiness, and benefit cost, good benefit cost. The available funding for this program is 15 billion total for 5 years, 2022 to 2026. This second round makes 5.5 billion available in years 2023 and 2024. The NOFO, the Notice of Funding Opportunity, was issued June 27th. We had to react very quickly. We did make this year's application submittal on the due date of August 21st before this commission meeting. I think, we had some discussions with Leslie, but we also figured that since the commission was okay with us applying last year, we're making the same exact application. I'll describe this application in the next slides. Next slide. So Eastern Pittsburgh Multimodal Corridor Project is the name of the project that we applied for. It synchronizes two important corridors in our region, I-376 Parkway East, the Parkway, and the East Busway, excuse me. So both facilities combined carry 100,000 travelers a day. The East Busway, for those of you unfamiliar, is one of the nation's first true bus rapid transit corridors. It was built in 1983, and it was BRT before the letters BRT came together. At almost 40 years old, the corridor experiences a high need for state of good repair projects. So with regard to the East Busway, we have infrastructure improvements, including 4 bridges that are in poor condition being replaced, 7 bridges rehabbed, paving, stormwater management, and retaining wall repairs. We also have slope stabilization and slide-prone areas on the East Busway between Grant Street and 26th Street. We also included in the application battery electric buses. The project includes the purchase of 5 battery electric buses and associated charging infrastructure, assisting the PRT on its goal of a 0% emissions fleet by 2045. The Parkway infrastructure improvements, and there are many, they include improvements to help congestion, but also improvements for flood protection. The first element was active traffic management. The corridor suffers from significant non-recurring congestion due to crashes and other incidents. The proposed strategies include dynamic lane use control, dynamic speed limits, wrong way vehicle detection and queue warning. This will provide enhanced situational awareness, real-time travel information, and automated traffic control changes when necessary. Also included in the application is the bathtub section of the westbound section near the downtown area. This section was closed to traffic 18 times in the last 35 years, including 3 separate times in 2018 alone. This section has about 44,000 vehicles traveling on it per day. This is just the westbound section. During closures, all the traffic must be routed through downtown Pittsburgh, and that results in the delays from that result in a $2.6 million economic loss daily that it's closed. The proposal here is to increase the height of the flood walls in that area. Hard shoulder running is another element to widen and improve the westbound shoulder of I-376 between Churchill and Edgewood Avenue and construct a new ramp to connect to the East Busway, providing buses an alternate inbound route from the eastern suburbs to the busway, resulting in more reliable travel times. Arterial traffic management, we're talking about improvements to signal improvements to Penn Avenue and Braddock Avenue, which are 2 critical corridors along I-376, reducing travel time and gain efficiency on those corridors. And last but not least, the last element is sidewalks, sidewalk improvements along Business 22 in Wilkins and Monroeville, resulting in increased pedestrian accommodation and safety. Next slide. So, why did we pick this one? It hits all of the key program criteria. Our ask our total project cost is, almost $251 million. Our grant request is 60% of that, which is $150.3 million. The benefit costs are outstanding. $3.8 of public benefit for every dollar spent, well above the USDOT's high rating. As I mentioned before, last year's application was deemed excellent, made the final 16. We just need to push this across the finish line, hopefully. It also proposes to integrate two facilities with communications technologies, collaboration and cooperation between PRT and PennDOT. Really good project that results in more efficiencies for all travelers, improved transit service to areas of need, improved resiliency, and improved pedestrian connections. Next slide. So any questions? We're asking today for your consideration of resolution 11-23, allowing us to move forward. As I said, we did already apply because the due date was before this commission.
That's ratification. I'll make them.
Second, let me comment. I want to thank you, your staff got to meet. We had the First Lady coming into town, coming to Pittsburgh International Airport, and Secretary Buttigieg actually reached out to me and wanted to meet ahead of time. He was coming as well to talk about what do you need in this region. And we were able to provide all of the data that you said that we have. We didn't make it last time, but we came close. And since he was maybe trapped with me for a while we waited for the plane to land, we were able to pitch that and have a good discussion with. So I think we're gonna might have a better chance next time. So, good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there anything further? Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, action item on resolution number 1223, the USDOT's promoting resilient operations for transformative, efficient, and cost-saving transportation discretionary grant program. That's a big one. I should have just said protect. Andy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And along the same lines, this is just, again, ratification of an application that was submitted back on the 18th. Again, short time windows, commission meetings every other month, but we did not want to let this opportunity pass. So basically, the PROTECT program is a new one that came out of the IIJA, or the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. And really what it's aimed to do is to strengthen the resiliency of our transportation system against things like flooding and landslides and mine subsidence, all things that we know a lot about in this region. There's about 1.4 billion authorized through the BIL, with $148 million available for this round of funding. So the numbers don't quite add up, but what they did is they took the federal fiscal 22 and 23 allocations of $250 million apiece and then appropriated an additional $400 million for this round of funding. So at the end of the day, it's likely, although the future funding years are planned to be $300 million each, but haven't been authorized yet, it's likely that it'll surpass the $1.4 billion for the entire program. You can see the breakdown of the funding there on the right-hand side. What we are going for is planning funds. There was $45 million available nationwide, 100% federal, no match on those. One of the reasons is, you'll see in the subsequent slides, the rationale for the planning money, but also PennDOT Central Office out of Harrisburg submitted one application to this program for the state, and it was the bathtub. They felt that area kind of met, out of all the projects statewide, met the program criteria the best. So at the end of the day, we're gonna have two shots to fix the bathtub here, one through MPDG and one through this program. And we didn't want to compete with ourselves, essentially. Next slide, please. There's also, I also want to mention, there is a formula provision of Protect as well. So there's a discretionary program. There's also a formula program that's apportioned to each of the states on a yearly basis. Right now, PennDOT is holding the formula funds in a line item until further guidance from Federal Highway and US DOT comes out. Again, this is one of the newer programs. This is the newer program that came out of the BIL, and our friends at DOT have been a little slow in getting guidance out for all of these new programs. So PennDOT, as a state, we're going to be getting between $60 and $75 million a year. It starts at 60 and moves its way up to 75 end of the infrastructure bill. So our proposal, we're proposing 2 phases here. One is improved data tools and mapping for use by everyone, not just us at SBC and PennDOT and the PRT, but all of the infrastructure owners, the counties, the local governments across the region. It's going to build upon our landslide vulnerability predictive tool that we rolled out a couple years ago. And this is going to build on that and focus on extreme flooding and look at multiple flood and climate scenarios across multiple years, a lot of very technical modeling and hydraulic modeling and things like that. And then the second piece is going to take that data and those tools and apply those region-wide to our highway and bridge network, our fixed guideway transit network, so the East Busway, the West Busway, the light rail system in the South Hills, as well as freight networks, rail corridors, active transportation that we talked about in the policy committee meeting with for example, the landslide on the Gap Trail down near Kennywood. So we're going to be able to look at all of these things and all of these networks and transportation system and better able to predict where flooding and landslides and mine subsidence in the future will happen. And we'll be able to use that to prioritize projects for the formula funding that's coming through the TIP, as well as the long-range plan. And then next slide, please. Also be able to better position ourselves to apply for the discretionary program in future years. And one of the really good things, and this is an incentive in of itself, is if we have this plan as a region to apply for the funds and the formula funds, it's going to reduce the 10% matching requirement down to 3%. So it saves the locals and the state money as well. And again, future notice of funding opportunities under the discretionary program, they may prioritize projects in areas where there are these plans in place. And again, I had mentioned the PennDOT formula funding being held for now. And, the PennDOT central office is encouraging all of the MPOs and RPOs across the Commonwealth to develop these plans for use of those funds. Next slide, please. We can take any questions.
I have a couple questions. What was the total on the planning that you're applying for?
500 million? 500,000, I'm sorry.
I understand it's 45 million.
500,000. Yeah, 500,000.
And then, as part of that geospatial, the mapping, the better detail, are you applying that to the PA geospatial, the one map, or are you collaborating?
Yes, we'll be using
one
that
map?
data, yes.
Okay, and then this information will then in turn be.
We're gonna be pulling data into our models from one map and also the I'm gonna butcher this, I think it's called the RCRS, the road closure, road something. It's another database that PennDOT uses when they inventory when road closures happen because of slides or flooding or what have you. We'll be pulling all those data sources in, as well as a lot from NOAA, FEMA, all of the kind of hydrologic modeling that's done at the very high levels.
So I hear you're pulling it. Are you also allowing it to be shared? The final data resource
Yes,
will
this
be
is
available.
going to be shared with local governments, emergency responders, infrastructure owners, the counties. But yeah, we'll publish it on our website. map, and then we'll also be able to share the data itself.
Okay, thank you.
Andy, do you have any cooperation already with any municipalities or other counties in
Not with
regards to stormwater management that could help to reinforce your case?
Yeah, Kathy, we had talked extensively earlier at the policy committee meeting about the SBC Water Resources Center and our work that's ongoing with the counties and stormwater management. Kathy, I don't know if you want to expand on any of that.
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to work with the counties that, you know, are looking to do like the stormwater management plans, maybe need to get into one. We can talk about that more after we do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, are there any further questions? Okay, considering, considering several years ago when we started to, when we met and discussed extensively our plans for going out to appeal for more spike funding, the whole landslide piece and the challenges related to that and the weather changes were, that was a significant conversation. And so this is great that we had, we were really kind of set up to move right into this. So thank you very much for the work and the effort in getting this in place as well. That will be beneficial to everyone. Hearing nothing else, I believe we need a motion for this. This was resolution for ratification.
Second.
Okay, anything further? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Andy and team. Okay, Jen, interagency work group stakeholder session.
Thank you. So as the local development district, SPC was asked to assist the interagency working group and the Pennsylvania Rapid Response Team with helping to organize and provide out invites to a stakeholder engagement meetings within the 5 counties that have been impacted by the downturn in the coal industry. So the Rapid Response Team is planning to host meetings in Greene, Washington, Indiana, Armstrong, and Beaver. And it's going to include representatives from multiple federal agencies. So I have reached out already to the planning directors near EDOs to start scheduling this. And I believe on the call, Betty Barnes and Samantha Beers with EPA. Are you on?
Right here.
Great. And did you have some slides that you wanted to share?
Yes.
Perfect. So you should be able to share slides, I hope.
Yes.
Yes.
For 1 minute.
Just give us one moment as we're switching over. These 2 ladies at the EPA are our point of contact, but we're working with multiple folks, but they're going to go into their presentation. But the goal of the engagement meetings is going to be to determine challenges, needs of the communities as they transition in the downturn of coal. And so that federal agency will be there to discuss resources as well as those that are pursuing economic redevelopment. And again, it's a virtual meeting with community leaders, planning agencies, nonprofits. And these discussions will focus on the effects of these closures to the communities, but also the types of assistance that they need and their challenges for redevelopment. So again, I've been working with your planning director and EDOs on scheduling this. And Betty, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Betty, I think you should start with the first slide, Bet. Okay. Here we go. All right. Everyone can see the screen then, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to make this presentation on behalf of myself and Samantha Beers, who is the director of the Office of Communities, Tribes, and Environmental Assessment. We're with the Environmental Protection Agency, Region 3. By way of background, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Interagency Work Group on Coal and Power Plant Communities. This was established by the Biden administration to help revitalize communities to facilitate economic revitalization in coal, oil, and gas and power plant communities and to support workers that were displaced. The Interagency Working Group is co-chaired by the Director of the National Economic Council and the National Climate Advisory and administered by the Secretary of Energy. The Department of Energy provides the administrative home from the working group of the sister federal agencies, which include, but not in total here, Department of Energy, Environmental Protection Agency, USDA, the Appalachian Regional Commission, Department of Transportation, EDA, Department of Interior, HUD, Labor, and Treasury. The communities that we're talking about, it's hard to see this on the screen, but they've been highlighted. The original communities that were identified by the IWG were all located in Western Pennsylvania. There are other communities in Eastern Western Pennsylvania that are being included as these coal communities due to mine closures. The interagency working group, the way that they work one-on-one with these communities is through rapid response teams. These rapid response teams are smaller groups of teams that work one-on-one with communities. We reach out to the different communities. What I've been doing is I've reached out to Jen Lasser and Kurt Bauman to help me identify what some of the challenges are for these communities, as well as some of the opportunities. In April of 2023, the White House announced that EPA Region 3 is going to be the lead for the rapid response team here in Pennsylvania. The team is charged with making connections to state and local agency leaders, assisting communities to address economic diversification, worker needs, and community issues. The RRT assists by connecting communities to federal agencies with funding to address challenges to economic redevelopment. And we also host listening sessions with community members, individual communities. The RRT, we'd like to conduct engagement meetings, as Jen had mentioned earlier, with Schuylkill, Lackawanna, Luzerne, Beaver, Indiana, Armstrong, Greene, and Washington counties. We plan on conducting these meetings, which will include representatives from EPA, Department of Energy, Southwest Pennsylvania Commission, the Northwest Pennsylvania Commission, Northeast Pennsylvania Alliance, National Association of Developer Organizations, and National Association of Counties. These are the organizations that are helping me plan these engagement meetings so that we have the right people coming to these meetings to be able to talk about what the strengths and weaknesses are and what are some of the needs and challenges that you would like for the RRT to help you address. Okay, so the engagement meetings will consist of virtual roundtable discussions with community leaders, planning agencies, nonprofits, locals, LDDs, and representatives from federal agencies. The goal of these meetings is to provide a forum for the county representatives to discuss their community's challenges and opportunities. The meetings will be 90-minute virtual meetings to allow for robust participation. Federal agencies from some of the agencies that I mentioned earlier will be participating to discuss their agencies' grants, other resources available to address the challenges and opportunities identified during these meetings. This will be your opportunity to talk one-on-one with federal agencies about the specific problems or projects that your organizations may be trying to get funded or have ideas for, or just, we need planning assistance, any kind of assistance that you think you may need. These challenges and opportunities and other concerns identified by county participants will also inform the agenda for the Pennsylvania kickoff event. This is going to be a larger event that's going to be held in the fall. Right now, we're looking tentatively for October. There'll be some invitees that will be invited, include dignitaries such as Senator Casey, administration principals, state representatives, affected community leaders and worker representatives, federal and state funding program officials. So as we hold these meetings with these individual counties, we'll be taking copious notes as to what you all think is important that you need for your economic redevelopment. And then we'll be feeding this back up to the Department of Energy, which is the sort of the host agency for the whole IWG, to say, these are the issues that are affecting the communities, the coal communities here in Pennsylvania. And from there, that's going to help develop the agenda that we have in the fall. So
I know that's a lot. This is Samantha Beers. I just want to put a pin in this for you guys. So you're saying to yourself, okay, that was a lot. Here's what it boils down to. The Biden administration is putting a lot of money on the street to work across the silos of federal agencies around economic revitalization. There's a recognition that previous energy communities are being hit hard right now with all the conversation about climate change and shifting the sources for our energy. And the Department of Energy is trying to ensure that no one is left behind. So these counties were identified, and we are trying to set up a system that allows you guys who know best what you need and want and know your communities. What do you need for economic revitalization? What's it going to look like? Because it's going to have a different nuance here, for example, than the IWG meetings already held in Wyoming, in Indiana, in Illinois. You guys are different. Pennsylvania is different. So we want to hear from you. Betty and I both sit here in the Philadelphia office of EPA, responsible for 6 states, and we're all about economic revitalization and bringing people together. So we're hoping we get some questions. I know this was a lot of word soup, but the ask is for you guys to give us advice and counsel so that you can let us know what you need for economic revitalization and then get ready to put in those grant dollars. I've heard a lot of interesting grant proposals today. I want to make sure that you guys get your share.
So just to, before we get into questions, just wrap this up, is that, again, how this started was with outreach to us as the local development district. What we started doing was putting together kind of lists of who would be helpful for those folks to reach out to. And so starting with the economic development directors, the planning directors, we gave them workforce investment boards, the county commissioners, other stakeholders, and then working with the planning directors and EDOs for additional community partners that would be a good fit for this. So again, that is Greene, Washington, Indiana, Armstrong, and Beaver within our region. Any questions for Samantha or Betty?
So I do have a question, only because Senator Casey put out the map for the bonus tax credits that include multiple other counties other than the ones that we've identified. Are they included in this? Is this part of the process? Because it's a much bigger array of counties for these dollars. So I'm wondering, I know we want to focus on those areas, but the map is quite extensive. So I mean, it's all of these counties.
For sure.
I hear what you're saying, and I understand what you're talking about with the tax credits. There's a lot of rules around the tax credits and what communities can apply for the tax credits. So that's one tool that we use for this. But what we're saying here with the Pennsylvania Rapid Response Team is that may be one of the services that we help you guys with. Like, you have a project, you want to do it in a certain town or a certain area. That's one of the things we may be able to help you with, is that navigating that mapping system. It looked pretty complicated to me. So that could be like one of the services that the Pennsylvania RRT provides. The other thing is just the basics of, there are some communities, maybe some of the communities in and around Pittsburgh are maybe more sophisticated than some of the other rural communities. And those communities may actually need help with planning. Just the basic, let's come up with a plan for economic revitalization. And it could be around any subject matter. Now, today, you guys were all talking about transportation. And, you were very focused on your transportation needs. You came up with a plan. You are applying for a special grant to help you do the planning. There are other issues around community revitalization where some communities actually need those dollars to do the planning. Then from there, they would need a second step. Once we develop our plan, what's our next step? Where do we go for, grant dollars for whatever it may be? It could, it could be, just as an example to bring it home to EPA, it could be, we have a lot of abandoned sites. Where do we get the money to help with that? Well, we have our brownfields program, and the RRT, whoever's the lead agency would be the ones who would say to you guys, okay, that's an EPA initiative or program. So you would, we would help you connect you with the right person with EPA. You may have another project that is strictly an economic development administration project. We would be the ones who would help connect you with the appropriate person at EDA. These are just general examples, but that's the kind of the difference. But if there's other things that you need help with, like navigating that map, that would be something we would want to hear during these meetings. And if it's, a big salient issue, that's something that we would want to bring up at the big RRT meeting. Like I said, I've seen those maps and they seem pretty complicated to me, unless they have someone at Treasury where, I don't know if they have like a hotline that you could call to get help with that or not. So that's just a few examples. Is that clear? Or
No.
does that just lead to more questions?
I gotta be honest with you, look, we're SPC, we're a regional approach, right? So I look at this as, look, we might have priority counties, and I don't wanna take away from them, because I know that they have harder hit areas, I totally understand that. However, before we put any package together or do any type of deliberate, it's gotta be looked at by this entire board, and every county has to have some sense of belonging, because they're all included. So I get the priority piece of it, and I'll fully support that 100%. And maybe your department isn't the one that we seek this through. That could be, I don't know that. But I think that our plan as a SPC should always be inclusive of all the counties, and we should put that together as one unit, whether we're doing it with broadband, solar, electric, because look, a lot of the same companies that serve these areas are all of this region. So for power and so on. So I think that I just want to tie it all together, right? I don't want to have it siloed out. I want to put it into a box so that we can all move it together.
I think this is an excellent example. And as a matter of fact, there are a lot of federal grants out there where they're actually encouraging that, taking a regional approach, because sometimes it's so overwhelming for one smaller county. But if you're a part of a coalition like the Southwestern Pennsylvania group here, you're actually setting yourself up for more success. So it could be that you guys could be an example at the RRT of how you go about applying for grants and addressing things on a regional scale so that no one's left behind.
So Kevin, is your concern just because she mentioned that those meetings were occurring in the counties where the coal mines have closed?
Yes, that's part of it, because, we're obviously I'm not going down to Green County, nothing against y'all, but we still have input. And so as long as that information flows back to this group is what I'm looking for, so that we can look, I want to support them, right? I really do want it to be a regional application and put through. And if it means we're supporting Greene and Fayette heavier than I'm good with that. I just want to do it together. I think we'll have more success working together.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that input. And as you know, I've been working with Jen Lasser for throughout this process. And, I will be relying on her too throughout as we get the feedback in each of these county meetings to say, okay, Jen, what's the next step? And I'll be asking her to remind us all of, this is how we do it in Southwest Pennsylvania.
And that was also my point of having them talk about the full commission. I want you all to be aware of everything that's happening in your backyard, whether it's in your county or not. And anything of this type of scale, everybody needs that input. So that was kind of my thought process to start the conversation.
Can they all tune into those meetings?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're not from one of those listed counties?
Yeah.
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the
That would
reason,
be helpful.
the reason I have a question is, and maybe I missed it, with the criteria to actually pick the counties themselves. If you look at us in Fayette County, I mean, we've had coal mines closed since the 50s.
Yeah.
In the 60s, and I mean, and all the way up through. And, when you look at what our county is, it's the same way. We're sitting the same as what Greene and some of the other counties do too. So for me, I'm looking at the criteria and here in the counties that were actually picked out, and I'm thinking, why weren't we there along with that? Because we fit the pattern unless they have a different criteria altogether.
Do you all have your criteria on how those 5 were selected, at least in Southwestern Pennsylvania?
We did it based on data that Department of Energy had collected, and we were looking at communities that had a large number of mine closures, as well as communities that have had recently or are about to have like a big generation station closure. Part of the responsibility of the Pennsylvania RRT, I'm glad, thank you for inviting us to this, is even though Fayette County may not be included in this round before the kickoff event, we're certainly open to meeting with you and having a very similar engagement meeting that we're going to be having with these 5 counties. It's not closed after we do these counties, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, we just had a statement in 2009, since closures in 2009. That's not very long ago.
Again, I hear what you're saying, and if you want to meet with the Pennsylvania Rapid Response Team to talk about what some of your needs and your challenges are, we are open to having those types of meetings. This is not a closed process. This is just the beginning with the communities that we're meeting with right now. We were just trying to get some general ideas of what's going on in Pennsylvania to feed into the larger RRT meeting. But the idea is that once we have these meetings with the individual meetings, the large meetings, we're open to meeting with other counties, other communities. We're also going to be looking for trends where maybe there's some technical help that's needed, that maybe the answer will be to have some sort of like a training, like when we were just talking about navigating that map from Department of Treasury. If through these meetings or the large RRT meeting, if that bubbles up to be an issue that everyone's interested in and wants to learn more about, it would be up to the rapid response team to work with the Department of Treasury to say, this is a big need here in Pennsylvania. Let's see if we can't plan a webinar in the next couple of months. And then I would be back with the LDDs, letting them know what we're planning, help me get the word out to the right people to make sure that people across the state, or all the counties, all the persons that need to be there could attend this type of a training. So that's the kind of things that we want to hear. And I'm just throwing that out as an example, but no county is going to be left out.
And Betty, that funding is eligible for all of the counties. It's not just for those 5, correct?
Correct.
Perfect.
Thank you. Didn't mean to stir a pot, but I just really want to be inclusive.
No, that's okay. This is a learning process, and one of the reasons I'm working with Jen is to learn how you all operate in the southwestern part of Pennsylvania. And because of her knowledge of how you all operate, she's been, a treasure, she's been the buried treasure here. But, the idea is for us to learn from you guys, from Jen, and from any other folks that work with these communities, that work on all of these issues more so than we do here at EPA, and to learn how you do things your way, so that to help you get the assistance that you need, not for us to tell you how to do things, or, well, you can't do it that way, you need to do it this way. That's not our role. Our role is to try to help you guys understand what your needs are, what your challenges are, and then to try to find the help that you need to be successful.
And next steps, just so y'all know, is I will have, hopefully in the next couple of days, I've been working again with your planning directors and your economic development to schedule these meetings. They're gonna be virtual. So I'll have those hopefully in the next 3 to 5 business days, and I can get that out to the full commission for those that want to join into those meetings. But it's more than likely going to be, you're looking at probably like September 15th to the 22nd. It's gonna occur during those time periods. And I'll have those dates out to everybody as soon as possible. So again, you can attend the ones that are near and dear to your county and to your heart. Any other questions for myself or EPA? And again, just thank you. The reason, again, I'm bringing this is so everybody's aware of what's going on, but also, these folks want to hear what's going on from your perspective. And so, again, gave the ideas of your workforce investment boards, the county commissioners, education, economic development, housing, those type of things. Those are going to be who they want to hear from. So, all right.
Thank you, Jen, for setting this up, and we really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you guys today.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Samantha. Jen, is there anything further related to that, or you've got more in your report?
I have the next 2 items, actually.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be very brief. Okay. Next up is EDA updates. Perfect. And just 2 very brief EDA updates, again, wanting you to know what's going on and if and when we're doing anything in your backyard. So the first and foremost is just quick Build Back Better Project 3 update. It's going really well. Our workforce investment boards are starting to do their training. Our community colleges and education are starting to host their classes. Their IUP hosted a great robotics summer camp. Just letting you all know things are going well there. I've also asked for the October meeting if our regional economic competitiveness officer can come and give a full Build Back Better update for you all, like they did about 6 months ago. So just know that's coming. But in terms of Build Back Better, it's still going well. Margaret and team, thank you per usual. You just knocked it out the park. I also have to just give this compliment again. I know she's heard it, but EDA has specifically told me that Margaret is the blueprint for what they love to see on a project in terms of knowledge, skills, and ability. She's kind of a best practice for EDA in terms of funding. So that's not a compliment you get too often from the federal government. So again, Margaret, thank you. You have been just a joy to work with in EDA also. The next is Recompete. I think you all maybe heard a little bit about Recompete, but basically Recompete is another EDA grant that has come out, and they're investing approximately 200 million nationwide to persistently distressed areas to create and connect people to jobs. And so the program targets areas where prime age 25 to 54 employment significantly trailed the national average, with the goal of closing this gap through large flexible investment. So quite a few areas in our region are eligible for this. And one of the things that we have done just to kind of get in front of this is while working alongside the Allegheny Conference, we've reached out to the individual communities to say, do you have a project? Do you need assistance with applying for a project? How can we help? So we've been reaching out to counties, the COGS, eligible entities to just say, what can we help you with? There's not a tremendous amount of projects that are floating to the top. I think we're probably going to see maybe 2 or 3 regionally. But again, if you happen to hear SPC reached out on Recompete, that's why. We're just trying to see who's applying for what and do they need assistance. And again, we're working alongside the conference. We even received a large scale list from Senator Casey's office on individuals that attended their webinar on this. And we've reached out just proactively to say, how can we help? So letting you know that we're doing that. And last but not least, there's going to be a letter of support along with an adoption of a resolution for EDA Tech Hubs. EDA Tech Hubs is a grant that just recently closed, and we had a local applicant that was hoping to get a letter of support from the full commission. Now, we provided as SPC, Vince provided one, but just like Build Back Better, this is a large scale grant. Tech Hubs is an economic development initiative that is designed to drive regional technology and innovation-centered growth by strengthening a region's ability to manufacture, commercialize, and deploy critical technologies. This program invests directly in regions with the assets, resources, and capacity to potentially transform into globally competitive innovation centers in approximately 10 years. Wow, a lot of words, guys, I apologize. Wow. Catalyzing the creation of good jobs for the American workers at all skill levels. Well, Pittsburgh Life Sciences Alliance, PLSA, which is Innovate Pittsburgh and Pitt, have come up with a possible grant and application for EDA Tech Hubs. And so with this, they're looking for a full commission letter of support. We have drafted a letter of support, which is going to be emailed to you. Take a look at it. Just like Build Back Better, we sent something out to you all and said, if you did not want to be a part of this, let us know. So that's what's going to be coming to your inbox probably this evening, if not first thing tomorrow morning. And the goal with Pittsburgh Life Sciences and their application, just to tell you a little bit about it, it proposes to unite the region's life sciences, manufacturing, and AI strengths, overlapping the advantages that we have here in Pittsburgh to develop a fully U.S. Pittsburgh biomanufacturing hub. The hub will equitably engage Pittsburgh's regional workforce, accelerate technology transfer based on existing local, state, and federal resources that we have here, create new manufacturing processes, improve those processes. So think robotics and creating a new domestic supply chain for biomanufacturing. And so within the Tech Hubs application, PLSA will build on that platform with an intentional focus on workforce development, domestic supply chain, and equitable economic opportunities across 4 integrated lines. Those lines are new ecosystem investments, new domestic supply chain for biomedical manufacturing, biommanufacturing investments, and democratize the delivery of personalized medicine. So you will be seeing this separately. It's kind of this is being asked. The application was due after the meeting was going to be scheduled. We're still going to send one on their behalf because they're still accepting the letters of support, but just wanted to let everybody know this is what's coming to your inboxes on behalf of SPC, hopefully going to support this.
Are there any other applicants that we know of in the
That we
region?
know of, none in the region, possibly one in the state, maybe. And I can tell you, in terms of, it's a 2-phased grant, very similar to Build Back Better. They did not ask for any money for phase 1 because they want to go full implementation. So they're just looking for support right now. So I think they have a really great shot. Pennsylvania, by and large, has a really great opportunity right now to go after significant amounts of funding. And again, to your point of the regionalism side of things, that was something they focused on in their application as well. So I will send the letter of support, a one-pager about the project and the full resolution in case anybody needs to see it, but asking for any issues, questions alongside that.
All right, well, one of the great responsibilities I have when our Madam Chairwoman had to step up, so being Vice Chairman, I get to pinch hit for her here today. In case you didn't know, I give Leslie a lot of credit for being here today. She said in our last meeting, her son was in a horrible accident, doing something off duty. He's a Pennsylvania State Trooper, so keep him in your prayers tonight. She's dealing with that matter, but still got on the phone here today for as long as she could, so it's appreciated. We're going to move on to agenda item 11 for the safe driving video campaign. Dom?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, can we do, just a vote for the resolution?
Oh, my bad. Looking for a motion on resolution 13-23.
So moved.
For a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I have a question. So we're voting to support the letter that you're gonna
It's
send.
just the
out
letter.
later?
Anytime we ask for something full
Okay.
commission, and you'll see the letter, just requesting that we're gonna be sending the letter.
We're not giving money, right?
No.
I just want to make sure that it's just a letter.
I'm gonna vote this question.
Send the letter, send it for me to look at.
Go for the vote.
Any other questions, comments?
Somebody on the phone.
Not hearing any. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on, Don.
Thank you, Commissioner. So over the past few years, we've used the in-house talents of our staff to develop some public service announcements with animated videos. And, you know, this latest set of videos that we want to talk to you about today is our way to help educate and generate awareness to our audiences by providing safe driving and road safety tips. It's a collaboration between our transportation, our safety and ops team, and our communication department. As I said, designing, writing, and creating, and editing these videos in-house. We will be featuring and promoting the videos on our own channels, social media platforms, and newsletter. You know, the old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. A video is worth 1,000,000 social media comments, I guess.
Good or bad.
Yeah. And we will also be distributing to specific audiences. The videos have a timely theme depending upon the season we're in. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Caitlin, our Director of Communications.
Thanks, Don. Yeah, hey everyone, we won't take too much time. Like Don said, we've been partnering with his team, our safety and ops folks, to come up with the ideas for this. This is kind of our calendar. Last month we did a summer driving one. The one we'll show you now, again, we won't take too much time, it's 30 seconds. But it was on school bus safety for back to school. We thought that was very important right now with all the kids going back. But we'll do some stuff on road flooding, what actions to take when accidents happen, daylight savings time. There's actually a lot more accidents that happen, especially when kids go to school when the time changes, and then driving in dangerous winter conditions. So we just thought we'd kind of end on a high note and show you a fun video that we put together. And just so you guys know, so this is going, like Dom said, in our newsletter, specific audiences, and we're doing some grassroots communication. So this school bus video, we emailed this out to all the school districts in the whole region, and let them know, please share it on your social. You can direct it from our YouTube, whatever you want to do. We're trying to supply them with information, and again, just a small way to try to help educate the public.
Do you have a library of these videos we can post as well?
We do.
I knew you would.
Yes, because you know, I'm tracking metrics. So,
Yes, I am.
want to see views. And we are putting a little bit of money, you know, we have a small budget. So social media is very much pay to play. So you can set your price. You can pay $5 for an ad. $100 for an ad. So we're running these a month at a time, and we're putting $100 behind it to try to get more reach. And we're also doing things organically, but I'll pull it up for you guys in a second.
Stop means stop. When a school bus's stop sign is extended and lights are flashing, stop. Children are present and may be unaware of their surroundings. Facing or from behind, stop at least 10 feet away from the bus. Stop in a passing lane or even on the other side of a turning lane. Stop until children have safely crossed and the bus has continued moving. Learn to know on the go. Learn more about road safety at spcregion.org. Summer rain can be refreshing.
That was our one last month. So we'll email that out to you guys, but we're gonna be doing one every month and just help in on social and newsletter to help educate the public. We've gotten a lot of views. So far, we've had 1,000 views on it, on Facebook and Instagram since last week when we premiered it. So we're trying to help educate just a little bit. And that's all.
You had a comment pop up?
Oh,
notes?
someone left.
Video about bicycles.
Oh, and a suggestion.
Yeah, Sherry Road.
We also consider driver education video, so we'll go the road and that could be like notable by the way.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll consider it done.
Texting too. I see that all the time. Any others, guys?
Yeah, please.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Message for our fearless leader?
Yeah, October 23rd is our next meeting, and Caitlin and her team put together this new sheet, and I want you all just to notice it. It communicates the things a lot more clearly, and we'll be updating it as need be, and so that's another step in getting the word out there. Speaking of October 23rd and getting the word out there, that will be my last commission meeting. And just to address the elephant in the room, I'm leaving not because I want to, but because I have to. Lots of personal reasons, lots of things going on with health and just the well-being of my family. And I really, really need to attend to those things. Speaking honestly, this has been an incredible ride for me. This has been an absolute honor being here, working at SPC with all of you and all of the folks at SPC. You think about it, I came in the middle of COVID to a region I'd never lived in before, to a staff I had not met before. I jumped in full heart and everyone embraced me. All of you brought me in. And I can't tell you how much I really owe it to all of you to giving me a great ride. I want to particularly thank Commissioners Amadio, Maggi, and Oshie, and County Executive Fitzgerald for giving me this job, for giving me this opportunity. During the interview, they convinced me I needed to come to Pittsburgh, and guess what? They were right. I needed to come to this region. I needed to come here. I wanted that experience. I wanted to make a change here, and hopefully I have. In leaving, I know that you guys are going to get a great executive director. You'll have my support, any information, I'm just a phone call away. I'm just sorry I have to leave now, because now it gets fun. I don't know if you all noticed all the good things SPC, with all of your help, with what's going on in this region, what's going on now. Now it gets fun. The last 3 years, we're building, kind of the momentum and building the mechanisms to get there. Now it's there. Whoever comes in can work with SPC. The folks on staff there are really committed, love what they're doing, and are really incredibly capable. And it's just an amazing transformation, frankly, from what I saw in terms of morale. It was nobody's fault on staff. It's just the way the cookie crumbled at the time. But again, I am very sorry that it's just my luck that I have to leave at this time. The last thing I want to say is whoever comes in, man or woman, I'm going to buy them a bow tie. And they have my full support. And thank you all for the privilege and the opportunity. This has been a wonderful ride. And I will be sorry, this place gets under your skin, let me tell you, and I will be sorry to be leaving. But thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. Kind of came in with COVID and the pandemic and working through this transition and the relocation. You've done an excellent job and we're all very appreciative of it. And
Thank you.
I know Richard said commented in the past too, and if there's anything you wanted to say.
No, we were lucky to, I remember the process and unfortunately you came in 3 years ago, right in the, and I know you wanted to get to every county and meet with everybody and the meetings were virtual and they're not the same. We understand that. We get that, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for what you've done.
Thank
Truly.
you. Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you.
We got other SPC business to come before the board. All right, not hearing any, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any meeting I've ever been in.
Thank you. You know, back when you said about Pittsburgh, they're all.
Oh,
They're running the Panama meetings.
You haven't had any close. That's what he was saying about Fayette. I can't believe that.
I mean, this would have been in. Yeah, sure.
Wow.
It's a new.
We just closed ours, just closed.
Sometimes they are a change.
Oh, yeah. Believe it. We all live with it on all sides.
Oh, yes. Are we in there? That's good. See you, man. Keeps me reading. We have a bunch of Leechburg mailing addresses. Now, it's sometimes you hear Leechburg. Like,
Yeah, but I never really studied.
Yeah, sit on my family is so young. I would be similar. You got a phone meeting the whole time, so box chat. I've seen that. I didn't want to be in that. You did. Yes. You guys go.
Send them my way, long route. You would think. They had to talk with us. They said, look, but we're up to you, like 25th, 26th, or 28th.
I wanted to go, I couldn't.
Yeah. You told your house yet? You got that? Yeah, we're all ready to go. Literally.
I'll just try to listen to you, like, it's, we get lost. And I'm looking to it, I'm figuring that you thought, I was like, I heard you, I gotta go to the rest. It gives me an option. Well, I knew that's. I always
You know,
yeah. Oh, that happened.
How much is being brought to you? No, they really are about just like, tax on top Fridays.
No, I never. Yeah.
And that one, so
I would never know that. Yes. And that is. I mean.
They were way in, we were in the shop. And I was in the truck. Oh, yeah. You got an early. And you didn't know, I didn't know, if you got the placebo, if you got the other one. They didn't underline it. I got the first shot in the summer of 20. And by January of 21, when I was home, the vaccine covered, I didn't really need it. I got both. Yeah. I got the first shot and then a month later, the second. And it was, and I thought it was because I had a little bit of reaction. It could have been placebo. So they had just like a paper when I grabbed it. So I kind of sat back and yes, I got the real. Like, whoa. Oh, yeah. Well, again, if I stayed to learn your mind. That's what I think.
I was there.
The thing that we have to take advantage of.
Actually,
But about our speed, that's what I and I'm taking the trip to Boston.
We would spend it, district district, those kind of wells, so we're very competitive, and you got the talent coming out of it. Like robotics, we get extremely, Say that, yeah.